Sometimes the country scoffs at trends that begin in California until they start to spread to the rest of the country. No-fault divorce, property tax revolt, the decriminalization of marijuana, the hula hoop, Van Halen. Say what you will, but the state often sets the tone, which is why we should all pay attention to the struggles of the Republican Party in the land of Ronald Reagan. Statewide, just under 19 million Californians are registered to vote as of January. That's 76% of those eligible. And check this out. 44.6% are registered Democrats, 25.4% Republican, no party preference, 25%. So the I's are about to overtake the R's. That decline of Republican registration caused a state assemblyman named Chad Mays to join forces with former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger this week at an event for a group called New Way California, where I was one of the speakers, along with former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and Ohio Governor John Kasich. After our respective speeches, I sat down with the Terminator to talk politics. Governor, you famously said that the Republican Party has a problem at the box office. I heard you equate the GOP with the Titanic. Explain.
Well, you know, I told the Republican Party and at the Republican convention, it was like 10 years ago, that they're dying at the box office. And the reason why I said it was because their policies were such that they were not really including everybody, so that you have everyone interested. Like, for instance, women. 1 million women left within a few years because we did not address as a party healthcare issues, we didn't address education issues, we did not address environmental issues. This was three issues that were very important to women, and we were losing them because we were not addressing those issues. So I was telling them, I said, look, the way you're going, by being so anti, healthcare reform and being so anti-environment and stuff like this, we are losing and we are dying at the box office. Since then, the party has decreased it. It now has only a 26% popularity overall. And so it is dying, and I see it like the Titanic. The only thing is that we don't have to go under completely. We don't have to wait for that moment. Let's change and let's go and be more open and go back to this kind of like a big tent idea of Ronald Reagan.
Independents are about to overtake Republicans in California. What can California do differently?
I think independents are going to take over the Republicans. They're going to take over the Democrats also, because I think that people in general, I would say, upset about the fact that the Democrats are too far to the left now and they're getting stuck in their ideology, and Republicans too far to the right. And I think this is why we have helped it to some extent here in California with getting rid of gerrymandering and to do redistricting reform and to have open primaries. But we still have the problem that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party will endorse certain people, and that puts a certain weight behind certain people, and these are usually the extreme people.
I heard you say that Washington needs to have John Kasich back in town.
Well, I mean, look at this. I mean, when John Kasich was the head of the budget committee, I mean, they balanced the budget in the 90s. They got rid of the deficit, got rid of the debt, and actually added and had a surplus. I mean, it's unbelievable to think about it today, to have a surplus. They totally wiped out that surplus since then, and now we have almost a $21 trillion debt. $21 trillion debt. Who is going to pay that off? So that's why I said, John Kasich, go back to Washington and kick some butt and go and straighten out the mess. It would be fantastic.
How soon do you want him back? Do you want him back in 2020?
Well, I told him he should run in 2020. I mean, the running should start now. I mean, you don't.
You want him to run against President Trump?
I think they should run against President Trump, and I think that he should go and show the American people an alternative.
Do you think he could beat Trump? I mean, doesn't this come full circle to the issue that you just mentioned about how there's been an exodus of independent thinkers from the Republican Party? They're left now with a hardcore base. Could Kasich beat him?
Well, I think that I look at it a little bit differently. I think that eventually the people are going to judge the president before they go to the polls by his performance. So if Trump does a great job, then there's no reason to replace him, right? Because then people will be happy and they will say, hey, he went through the list of things that he has promised. We have immigration reform, we have healthcare reform, we have now a true booming economy, and we have all of those things, and he's tackling the education problem that we have. He's working on all of those things, and he's doing a great job. bang, he's back in again. There's no two ways about it, and he should be. But what I'm saying is that John Kasich is a great alternative. Should he not perform, because we don't know yet, we're only 1 year into his term, does he not perform, then John Kasich would be a great Republican alternative, and I think that he would be better than the Democrats can put up with, because the Democrats don't have anybody. He is the best next guy in line.
President Trump's been in office for about 400 days and has made only one trip to California. Do you feel he's abandoned the state?
I'm so happy that he has only made one trip. Look, I mean, the very fact that he doesn't want us to write off our state tax, I mean, that's a direct attack on Californians. So I don't think that he has been good for California. I don't think he cares about California. And I think California doesn't care about him.
You addressed education, you addressed the environment, you addressed health care. Those are not exactly cornerstones of Republican platforms these days. You think the party could win on those issues?
I think that it is extremely important to just look at the problems we have in the United States. So it's great when you talk about that we must be number one economically. But at the same time, you have to recognize that we are number one already economically. But in school, in education, we are 39th in the world. 39th, I mean, this is absurd. And why is it this way? Because our education system really sucks. And we need to do something about it. I mean, it is absolutely inexcusable that we have to have, for instance, affirmative action. Affirmative action means that I have not treated all the children equally. I have not given them an equal chance. I have not given them equal textbooks, equal amount of money, equal computers, equal quality teachers, and so on and so forth. And I saw it firsthand when I was governor. I mean, there's schools like here in East LA, they don't have by far the same thing that they have in Beverly Hills, but it's unfair, and that is a major problem. And this is why certain kids are falling behind, and then we have to shoot them in with affirmative action. It's insulting. So I say we got to go and start working on and to take on this challenge of equal education and great education on every level so that we can fill those 6 million unfilled jobs that the United States has right now, and they cannot fill it because the people are not educated enough. I mean, it's crazy. So I think that it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat, they got to get together and solve this problem.
You still have the fire in the belly. That's obvious. Is there any political future for you, a direct involvement in politics?
No, you know, I'm not looking for running for office or anything like that. I just happen to be as passionate about those issues because I'm not just a talker about politics. I was governor, and I saw firsthand the problems that we have and how those problems actually can be solved if both parties work together. And so what I'm trying to do is just to go and say to Democrats and Republicans, ease off from those political corners that you're stuck in and come to the middle and try to solve the problem the American people need to have those problems solved. We cannot go for another 20 years with no immigration reform or education reform or healthcare reform where we truly have every American insured and figure out a system so that it is fair for everybody, so you don't punish those that already have bought their insurance and so on. So there's a lot of things that need to be tackled. I don't look at it as a Republican issue, Democratic issue. I just see them as people's issues.
Thank you, Governor.
Absolutely.